Today's readings, we get a good look at part of what God's will is for us. When He made the first human being, He said it's not good for the man to be alone. God wills that we be united with one another, that we live in harmony, that we be connected with one another. And the prime example of that connection is in husband and wife. That the two of them might become one flesh. That they might realize that they are part of each other. And while they are part of each other, they leave their family and what they know, the security of what they know, to begin a life together that they don't know. And so it says they cling to one another. There have been some times during a wedding ceremony when a couple is sitting over here and I'll say something like, the world tells us that you got to look out for number one. All right? So, I said, and in some way that's true. So I'll turn to the couple and I'll say, who's number one from this day forward? Sometimes I'll go, get them off guard, go, see? I'll go, no, and then I'll do a little head thing like, and then they catch on, oh, him, oh yeah, her. That's it. Who's number one? They cling to each other. And if they know who number one is, and they live that way, they have a much better chance of having a good marriage, don't they? And if they don't, if they get confused about what's number one in their life, it goes a little bit, there's a good chance of going badly, doesn't it? Wants to be connected. And the gospel further on says something about children, where the children were going to come to Jesus, and the disciples says, no, stay apart, stay separate. And Jesus says, no, what's the matter with you? Let the children come to me. Don't prevent them. We are called to be in unity, to live in community. We are called to be connected with one another. And even so much as we know that, and we try to do that, we know, like in marriage, for example, that it's not quite so easy to work out, is it? That what you need to do is try to work through the problems that you have. And it's a difficult thing. We can go back to 3,000 years ago or more when, in the gospel, the Pharisees reminded Jesus, the Pharisees said that, Moses allowed writing a bill of divorce. Well, they were testing Jesus, you see, and to see what he would say. Well, the truth of the matter is, when Moses had them write a bill of divorce, it was not authorizing divorce. It was writing a bill of divorce so that women and then children who went with her, that they would not be suffer quite so much through the divorce that the husband, through hardness of heart, would just getting rid of her. They wouldn't suffer quite so much. It would be limited, the consequences of that divorce. Then you fast forward 1,000 years or more to Jesus, and they're asking him the same question. And if you notice, he does not rant against divorce. What he does when the Pharisees are testing him, he does this. He says, the ideal. God made them male and female to live together, to become one flesh, to cling to one another, and to live their life that way. That's great. And as we come to see that, today we see that divorce is still a problem. It still happens. And both you and I know that sometimes divorce is the only solution given the circumstances of where people are in their relationship. Both you and I know that, don't we? Yeah. And having said that, we also need to admit that what we have to do is to work towards unity. How is it that we can live our lives in relationship to other people? It's not just married people, it's in all our relationships that works towards unity. Because we know when there is disunity, like there is in divorce, there's a lot of suffering and hurt and anger and pain. And we know what brings strife and disunity, don't we? We heard some of that a couple of weeks ago in the second reading. It talks about jealousies and rivalries, self-seeking, selfishness, misunderstanding, unforgiveness, vengeance, trying to get even, and the list goes on. We know what brings disunity and strife in life, in our relationships. So I'm going to ask you two questions. This is the first one. First question of each one of us, I suggest we ask ourselves is this: what is it that I do that brings about strife or disunity in my life in relationship to other people? If you have any problem with answering that, I know somebody who can help you. I suggest you go to one of the people that know you best. Like if I asked that of my community, I'm not going to ask Father Ed right now, but if I would, I think he might be able to come up with one thing. Okay, he says more. Okay. He says more. All right. But I don't have to ask him. I already know what some of those things are. And those things we need to change, don't we? That we might be connected to people in our lives that we are called to love, and for those who are called to love us. That's the first question. What do I do that causes disunity? The second question is this. It follows on this. We know what brings unity in relationships, don't we? We know what brings unity. It's compassion, understanding, helping, loving, being there, forgiveness, generosity, gratitude, helpfulness, and the list goes on. We know what brings unity in our life. So this is the second question. What can I do that will bring about better community, better unity in my life with the people that I know? If you need some help with this, ask somebody you know. Hey, how could I be more helpful? How could I be better? You see, because the more we figure that out, of how we can be messengers of unity, of love, and community, the more we can figure that out, the more we will encourage and have respect for life at all its levels.